What happens when the streets understand politics? What happens when anger turns into passion? What happens if everyone was woke? I'm James, and my co-host's name is Billy. Together, we're trying to figure out questions like that and more, along while ranting and raving about today's political climate. What's up, guys? It's your boy James.
And I'm Billy.
It's another episode of Off Center. We're glad to have you. If it's your first time, let me tell you a little about us. We're two everyday black guys. We're ranting and debating about today's political climate in the hopes that somebody is listening, because we got a lot to say.
Yes, we have a lot to say. And if you are very interested in what we have to say, please follow us on Twitter at Off Center Now. That is at Off Center Now.
Here's how it works. We open up and we talk about hot topics. We pick the most important issues that are going on in today's current events. We sprinkle them with a little salt, dash it with a little pepper, give you a plate of current news so you can take it home, chew on it, and come back and talk to us on our Twitter page.
All right, I don't have these fancy metaphors like my buddy James here, but in the second half of the episode, we're going to have a healthy discussion or debate, depending on how we're feeling today. But most likely, it's going to be a nice, healthy discussion. And then we're going to leave you guys with some last-minute words that you could also comment on our Twitter. Or, you know, you could just think about while you're strolling to work or school or wherever you have to go.
Healthy conversation is Bill's metaphor for us strangling each other.
Basically, I'm trying to keep it PC here. Okay? Trying to keep it PC.
All right, man, so let's jump right into it. What's going on this week?
So my main source is Twitter. I like to see what's trending on Twitter, see what's hot. Today, hashtag Walmart was trending. I was trying to figure out why Walmart was trending again.
They've made it into the hot topics for the past 3 episodes.
Right. It's your favorite store. I figured out that it's actually a positive thing, James. They want to stop selling handgun and military weapon ammo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They want to stop selling military weapon ammo?
Yes, and handgun.
Why is Walmart selling the military weapons?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Are you sure they're stopping to sell military equipment? Like, what the hell are they even doing with it?
Isn't that bizarre? Did you know you could buy caskets from Walmart?
What?
Yes. They released a statement.
Hold on. Whoa.
Okay, he's really stuck on this.
I'm stuck on this. So they're selling military grade stuff at Walmart.
Yes, the ammo.
The ammo. Military grade ammunition.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
They're stopping it.
Good. Do they have a public statement?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Okay. We understand our heritage, our deeply rooted place in America, and our influence as the world's largest retailer. And we understand the responsibility that comes with it. In a complex situation lacking a simple solution, we are trying to take constructive steps to reduce the risk that events like these will happen again. The status quo is unacceptable.
Close quote, Walmart?
Close quote, Walmart.
Incredible.
That was from Doug McMillion, the president and CEO of Walmart.
What's next?
We have that going on, and a lot of people was talking about David Chappelle.
Oh, yeah, the Netflix special that I thought was hilarious.
You thought it was hilarious or offensive?
I thought it was hilarious.
Okay. Some people thought it was offensive.
Yeah, there's a gaggle of people out there that were a little touched by some of the things he was saying. Like, what was one of the more controversial statements he made?
Well, let's start off with how he opened up with joking about suicide.
Oh, that'll rub some shoulders the wrong way.
He joked about the hashtag Me Too movement, which, by the way, I need to correct myself. It's not the hashtag Me Too movement. It's just the Me Too movement. I don't know why we're putting a hashtag before it, but that's nice.
Oh, right. Yeah, he claims he's a victim blamer.
Yes. I don't like that.
Well, you know, I don't want to call myself a victim blamer, but I don't believe the victim immediately.
So you don't believe that you shouldn't blame the victim at first, correct? You believe in due process, I'm assuming.
I definitely believe in due process. Rape victims matter, and potential rape victims matter. So we definitely have to put it out there that whenever a young lady or a guy or whoever it is that's a rape victim comes to a police officer or comes to a person of authority, that when they say something's wrong, we at least take their word for it and investigate it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if the person is found guilty, we still should not blame the victim, which I've come to find out some people still do. And that contributes to things like rape culture and things like that. But, that's a whole rabbit hole, and that's another podcast. I don't want to, go crazy about it right now.
We literally argued about this for 2 hours.
Right. So
before we started recording.
Yes. If you were offended by it, personally, I get it. I wasn't offended by it, but I get it. This is a polarized time right now. Yeah.
So the Democratic debates, man, they're next week. Don't breathe like that.
10 candidates.
10. We got it down to 10. Dude, that is like a massive cut from the 20 plus we had. When last time we did this? A month ago?
Yeah. Can we have like 10 candidates actually running? Is there still more candidates running than there is in a debate? Like, just drop out.
But let's be serious here. If you make it to the debate stage, you're the only ones that the world cares about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the other people like Marion Williamson, whoever, they should drop out by now.
Hey, watch it.
I know. I purposely said that. I purposely said that name.
At night that people across the country wake up to her wisdom and wake up to her majesty and decide to go to the polls or go to online or call whoever or respond to that obnoxious text message that comes from that 411 number or that 4135 number that's asking you how you feel about the current Democratic candidates. And just, can somebody please poll my girl? She's got the money. She just got to get the polling.
Anyway, so while he's advocating for Marion Williamson, I could read off the people who made it to the debate. And the debate is September 12th, correct?
September 12th, Thursday.
Thursday, guys. Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Julian Castro, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Andrew Yang. Boom.
Okay. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of each one. Joe Biden. I'm going to call Joe Sleepy Joe. But anywho.
Oh, that's not right.
It ain't. Cory Booker. Brother on the corner. Pete Buttigieg.
PC James.
Oh. Oh.
Mayor
with a rainbow. Julian Castro.
Hood.
Okay. I was definitely about to call him the Mexican. Kamala Harris. The sister. The sister. Amy Klobuchar. Can she quit already?
Oh my gosh.
Beto O'Rourke. As opposite of the Mexican as you can become.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Bernie.
Hold on.
Stop it.
Okay,
I wouldn't go to Bernie.
Go.
Bernie Sanders, the socialist.
Okay, but why you don't call him the granddad?
Well, he is ancient. Elizabeth Warren, your next president.
You could tell he's biased here, guys.
As a mother, Andrew Yang. Oh.
You used to like him.
I do.
You're
like
the one
Yang.
who introduced me to him.
I do
or
like Yang.
him to whatever.
He's giving everybody $1,000. Wham. So
basically, these were not like factual things about these people. This was just a quick synopsis of how we feel the country feels about these people. Okay. I think it's time to get to the best part.
Ooh.
Let's get to it. Let's get to the debate part. Or healthy discussion.
Okay, folks. To kick off this conversation about mental health, we wanted to start with a brief history of how we got to the point where we are with mental health and just the beliefs that we have centered around it. History tells us that mental health illness is something humans have struggled with for centuries. In cultures across the world have viewed mental health illness as punishment from God or some demonic spiritual possession. And believe it or not, it wasn't until like 1840 that the attitudes in the U.S. began to change for the better. You had activists like Dorothy Dix who pushed for mental health reform. And, through her efforts, state psychiatric hospitals were built across the country. You fast forward to the mid-1950s, and the attitude towards state-ran psychiatric hospitals and mental health institutions experienced like a major, major shift. This shift was led by high-profile reporting that shed light on like horrendous living conditions and human rights violations in those institutions. And when I say horrendous conditions, I want you to think horror and slasher films like Halloween and Gothica. Bill, you're an expert on some of the conditions in the mental health and psychiatric hospitals in the 1950s. For our listeners, how was it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would go on the limb and say I'm an expert, but I was doing some research, and I found out that, some patients actually wrote about some things that they experienced back then and actually witnessed. One patient wrote that they would experience this electroshock therapy about twice a week, and they would round up these people to go in a gymnasium and line them up, make them take off their shoes and clothes and things like that. And while this was happening, these people were crying and pleading for these processes not to happen. And it was just horrific. And the numbers, James, did nothing. It didn't help anyone. It didn't make anyone any better. It only hurt people and made it worse, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's deep.
That's really, really deep. And looking back, you can see how the mindset for deinstitutionalization took place. And that's basically the mindset that was taking place in the 1950s, where government forces and activist forces moved individuals to community-based care. And when I say community-based care, that's not at a centralized location like a psychiatric hospital, but a facility that's close to home where the mentally ill can not only get treatment, but they don't have to spend the night there, and they can be around the ones that they love. In the 50s, that happened. There was a big shift to move towards that kind of care towards mental health. But in between the 50s and now, there has been massive budget cuts to funding that's allocated towards mental health facilities. There has been almost a reinforcement of the stigmas that are in different areas in regards to mental health. Here's a statistic for you. In the 1950s, at its peak, for every 100,000 people, there was 339 psychiatric hospital beds. In the year 2000, for every 100,000 people, there's only 22 psychiatric hospital beds. This is a 93% reduction in the amount of hospital beds available to individuals who are mentally ill.
Yeah, it was just funny that you mentioned the government and public policy and budget cuts because when most, especially Republican presidents, decide to balance the budget, mental illness takes a hit. Jimmy Carter signed the Mental Health System Act. Ronald Reagan repealed that. The Mental Health System Act provided grants to health centers. Now, you want to talk numbers, to talk budget cuts. I'm not advocating for anyone here, but Barack Obama actually increased mental health funding by 75%, alongside providing over 40% of mental health providers. Not to mention Obamacare is quote unquote mental health friendly. By the way, 28 million people are without health care right now. I don't know what the current administration is doing right now. I know that Donald Trump proposed $5.5 billion to be cut from the mental health budget. I don't know if that went through.
So I'm really glad that you highlighted Obama's work towards increasing the allocated funds for mental health, because guess what happened as soon as he got out of office?
What?
As soon as he got out of office, the Cheeto decided that he wanted to cut that budget. And how he did was he cut the grants that fund these community health centers.
Yeah.
Right? Those grants are called block grants. Mm-hmm. And a block grant is a non-competitive formula that's granted and mandated by the U.S. Congress. And what the Trump administration has done is, over a course of 3 years, they've sliced the amount of money that's annually allocated or annually given to that particular grant.
Now let's hit on that a little bit.
Okay.
So we have